I know what you're thinking, guys. Wow, he has some penmanship when it comes to writing on MDF board. And also, does he have the coolest arbor press ever known to man? Welcome back to the R100 community, guys. What we're going to be doing today is giving this old Enox vintage toolbox that once belonged to my granddad a little bit of a makeover, and we're going to pop it on that shelf that we built for the new lathe, and I'll pop a link to that video on the screen now. So as you can see, it's not terrible, it's just a bit rotten, a little bit rusty in places, a bit battered and scratched up. The lock doesn't work, okay, which is obviously a problem. I've actually never opened it up. The key comes out, it turns round and round, but it doesn't actually open the toolbox up. Okay, so we need to get into the toolbox and see what's going on there. Now we need to try and get into the toolbox. As you can see, we have a key that comes in and out easily, and it turns. Feels like it should do something there, but it doesn't. And also, I can't quite make out, and I don't know if you can see it in the video, is this meant to push in? Is it just seized solid? Or is it simply a case of you turn the key and it pulls the latch down, or do you unlock it and then push this button in? I'm not sure. Until we can get the lock out, I don't know. So I suppose the first question we need to answer is there anything inside it? It's quite heavy, but I think it's quite a heavy toolbox anyway. There's definitely something rattling around in there. Could literally be anything. So let's open it up. We're going to have to break into it. Let's open it up and have a look. So we've got it open. I used a plastic trim tool. Fortunately it wasn't quite strong enough, so I did have to get a screwdriver in there just to pull the latch. So first thing we can see is that we've got 4 drawers. They've retained some of the blue colour. The door appears to nearly fold all the way in. You can also take it out as well. And then it has this. What is this? Ugh, that's pretty disgusting. Okay, I'm gonna see if we can replace this piece maybe. Okay, so what do we have in the drawers? Nothing in the top one. High-speed drill bits, small ones. Empty, damn it. And thought it was an M6 washer. It's not. It's a small cutting wheel, some description. Nothing in that one. Pretty rotten though. What have we got in the bottom one? It's a old hammer of some description. It's very small. Got a old brittle ring spanner. Five sixteenths and 3/8, or quarter Whitworth, 5/16 Whitworth. Ooh la la. King Dick spanner. Same size as the combination, so they were obviously needed for something. And a piece of old steel, maybe. I don't know, it's pretty sticky. Ugh. And in the back, a pile of old rusts and screws, and there's a wall plug in there. Ugh. Now the wife's just gone out, so I'll go and get the house hoover to hoover that lot up. So here we're just removing the broken lock from the door. Had a couple of 3/8 nuts on it and some captive bolts. Here you can see some really poor filming of the lock itself. It's a union lock. You just see union written on it there. You see there's two flathead screws to remove that brass plate at the back. I just started off by using a stiff wire brush just to get in some of those corners around the door, brush off some of the loose paint and rust, and generally get some of the crud out of the way on the door. So I have the rest of the parts behind me, soaking in some degreaser because they're covered in sort of engineering oil and all sorts of different kinds of lube, God knows what. So compressor's not fitted. I would have much preferred my little handheld DA here, but I'm using the trusty old electric mouse. Got quite a tough sanding pad on it. I'm just going over and getting a lot of the loose stuff out of the way off the front and at the sides and on the back as well. I then went ahead and had a little tidy up because it was covering the bench in rust and crud and God knows what else, and I've popped the door behind me in the same degreaser that the rest of the parts are currently sitting in. And now that's all sitting in some degreaser, I just moved on to the lock and latch itself. So we just start by removing those two flathead screws from the brass plate and just pop the first one out, and probably realise that this isn't the right screwdriver for the job. It was a little bit too big. See, there we go. Wrong tool for the job, people. Now we'll come back with the right tool for the job, which fits nice, and we get that second screw out. Pop the brass plate off, nice and easily, and we can see inside the latch there. Doesn't actually look as bad as what we first thought it might look like, considering it wouldn't work at all. You can see there the back of the brass plate. Here we can see that the brass plate is definitely not a push button to release the latch. It is just one piece, so the key is used to turn the latch. And here we're just having a look inside the latch. There's the key going through the small barrel which we'd already taken out. And that simply fits inside the latch, turns round and does nothing.
Right, so I've had a little play around and stripped it out, cleaned it all up, put it all back together, and I understand how it's meant to work. So once the key passes these tumblers here, and it's obviously the right key and the tumblers are in the right order, which they are, this bottom tag of the key here engages against this plate that is sitting right at the back. Might be quite difficult to see. And underneath here there is a tag that this perches up against, and as you turn the key it pulls this plate round, which drops this pin, which allows the latch to be pulled down, and then you get the spring return quite simply from this spring here. Now the hinge for this plate here is worn. When you take the spring out and you take a couple of the tumblers out, it works quite easily. Okay, but obviously it wouldn't keep the door shut if you left those out, because it needs the spring to push the latch back up. The spring is so strong that when it pushes the latch up against this pin here, it's pushing this metal plate into the worn part of the hinge, and basically this key isn't strong enough to move against the worn part of the hinge, so it won't allow the latch to drop down. Now you can see it looks like someone's cut something up against this, but if I put a pair of pliers on this and I really turn it a lot harder than I want to, then the latch operates as it should, because I can overcome the worn part of the hinge there. Okay, so this is no good. I suppose that, you know, there's some options to fix this, which I suppose I could look at, but I'm going to go ahead and restore the rest of the toolbox first and have a better think about what I can do here, because it would be good if we could keep this original lock. It's a union lock.
I fixed it, but I forgot to press record and haven't got that piece of footage. So you can see the lock is working there perfectly. Okay, so what I ended up doing is removing the plate, and I just built the little hinge up that's on the cover and the plate up with some solder, re-drilled the hole, and just used the file to recreate the post again. So just got all the parts out of the degreasing tray and dried them off, and now I'm just going over them with one of these, they're a flexible sanding pad, Actually came across them when I was decorating my house, but they're super handy for everything. They've got sandpaper on both sides. They come in all different types of grit, and I'll pop a link below to where I get these from, because they are super handy for loads of different things. And you can see just it's cleaning the door up nicely there and just getting it ready for a coat of primer. I then go ahead and do the same for the main box part of the toolbox. Just give it a quick wire brush just to get rid of some of the loose stuff. It's been sitting in degreaser. So just go all the way around it with the wire brush, paying special attention to the hinge for the handle, which is finally moving now. Then go ahead and hit it again with the electric palm sander just to get some of that loose stuff off. I'm going to go all the way around the box with the electric sander. The top was actually probably the worst part, to be honest. It was just a load of surface rust sitting on there, and we got as much off it as we dare without obviously causing any holes or anything like that. And then again, just over the whole box with one of the soft sanding pads, just to key up the areas that didn't need that much work, and just to smooth off some of the areas where I had to hit it with some tougher grit sandpaper and the mouse, just like I'm doing there. And that's that little project all done, guys. It probably hasn't come out as well as I wanted it to. The paint reacted with the metal. I think there was just too many years of dirt up, grime and oils in the metal that all the degreasing in the world just wasn't getting rid of it. I hit it twice with the paint, so it had 2 coats. I let it set, which took a crazy amount of time inside the house so we could get some warmth on it. Yeah, overall, it's come out okay. The locks come out nice and the little badge has come out nice. The lock's working perfect now, and it's got all my precision measurement tools in there. All my mics, verniers and DTI gauges are in there, as well as my cutting tools, everything for the lathe. So it's doing exactly what we wanted it to do, and it's keeping one of my granddad's toolboxes alive, better than throwing it in the skip. So if you want to see the video where we built this bench for the lathe and the shelf and put the power in, that's in the description below. Please guys, if you wouldn't mind, hit subscribe, hit like, and in the next video we'll be building a folding metal workbench to go underneath our tool board. Thanks for watching guys, and I'll see you soon.